Action. Harper Grace is in the studio. Found you in the lobby eating a burrito.
It was not a burrito. First she said, I'll let you get in the elevator eating a hot dog. I was like, Caroline, it's 9:30 in the morning.
She's just getting down on a hot dog.
I'm not eating a hot dog in the morning. It was Urban Market breakfast sandwich.
I mean, I would be stoked if you were eating a hot dog.
Honestly, I haven't had a hot dog in a while.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, I don't know. actually, why.
You know, honestly, I have a 6-year-old, so hot dogs are a much more frequent part of my life.
I will say, though, I had, during the snowstorm,
you had a lot of hot dogs.
Well, no, I had sent in a online grocery order, and I had requested for like those frozen breakfast sausages, and in return, they sent me corn dogs.
You know, I sometimes find the replacements very interesting.
What even was this supposed to be? But then I realized that the corn dogs was not even the replacement for the sausages. It was the replacement for chicken breasts.
Interesting.
So I was like, what is happening? And I know that it was probably not available.
Low stock.
Low stock with
refunding, we're just going to corn dog it.
Just corn dog. Some frozen corn dogs for you.
Did
I'm
you
like,
eat
hey,
them?
I actually did.
And you liked it.
And I was thrilled. I had not had a corn dog in a while. I was like, and they were the organic kind, you know? So I had nothing to worry about. Use my organic ketchup. Very healthy? I typically do.
You do?
My mom is like, has gone on to this whole journey of finding all the insights. That was beautiful.
I'm a loud sneezer.
You used your arms.
I know.
It was majestic.
I was going to try to suck it in, but
Bless
I've never
you.
sucked in a sneeze in my life, so I'm sorry.
That's
sneeze.
okay.
I'm like the loud
I'm
sneezer.
impressed. It was like a ballet move.
That's how I feel right now. Okay, so your mom has gone on a journey, and you've gone with her.
I've gone with her. She likes to look up all the things of what different ingredients mean and the long words you can't pronounce, and so I have also done the same thing. And
do you feel better?
I actually do. It makes me feel a lot more like energized when I'm removing certain things,
toxins and fake food, and
and chemicals. You know,
that's all just everywhere.
I know, it's horrible.
Good for you.
Thank you, Caroline.
I'm happy for you, Harper.
Love you.
I love you so much, man. So you came on my podcast how many years ago?
Oh my goodness, was that like 2 years ago? 2.5?
And
maybe?
we had such a great episode.
Longer than that? Oh my gosh. 3 years?
I mean, that
cried.
was a really good episode.
It was really great.
So to refresh everyone, Harper Grace, she is this beautiful country starlet. Yes.
Yeah.
But your journey did not start out as a dream.
No.
More of a nightmare.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Pretty rough.
And you have turned it into such a testimonial, and you've turned it into testimony, and you have I love that you've gone full circle. So when you were how old?
11.
When you were 11 years old, and I'm thinking about this because I have a 6-year-old daughter who loves to perform, who loves to sing, who loves to, put herself out there, and you're so young and you're so innocent. So you're 11 years old and you love to sing, and you get this opportunity to sing the national anthem. A big opportunity. Where was it?
It was FC Dallas, their stadium in Dallas, and we were playing the LA Galaxy team, and David Beckham wasn't at the game that day. He was in the Olympics, which is why basically I was known as the worst national anthem singer ever as an 11-year-old. Over 1 million views in less than 24 hours, played on the commercial break of the Olympics. Anything you could possibly think of that could have been said poorly, meanly, from the scale of cyberbullying, emotional bullying, physical bullying, all of the above. If you think of the worst thing possible, I could very confidently raise my hand and say I've probably heard it, seen it, been through it.
11 years old.
I know, little baby. I'm 24 now, and sometimes I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah.
That is so terrible.
Crazy.
So just to I know we've talked about this in my first episode, but I want to revisit this. What did you do when that happened?
First off the bat, it was kind of a surreal situation because I remember waking up the next day to my parents crying in the office. And originally when I first finished it, I knew it wasn't my best performance, but there were also technical difficulties. I couldn't hear myself.
Well, that's the thing people don't realize about a national anthem is there's a delay.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like when you're singing in a big arena type stadium,
it's so
like that,
different than just performing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You have to like finding the right pitch. Like if you get the wrong pitch, like it's very terrifying.
Well, some of the stadiums now that I've been able to like go back and do it a handful of times, like have better sound systems than others, and they have gone to the lengths of knowing how difficult it is for an artist to get into the middle of a giant stadium and sing with that kind of microphone. And they call it the slapback because that day that I sang, there was a 2.8 second delay in the microphone. So I really, as a kid, had never sang in that kind of setting before. I thought I had to wait for it to come back to me. So no one told me. The sound check that we had before the game didn't go very good, and we basically had to be like cut off from it, and they didn't turn the main speakers on, so I didn't even know about the delay when I did the sound check. So it was like pretty much everything that could have gone wrong that day definitely went wrong. But like we chatted before, I'm glad it happened that way because it was supposed to happen that way. And the Lord changed something that was so like horrible and traumatic into something so beautiful now. And it's been such a piece of my story.
You allowed that to happen because like you could have crawled in a hole and died, literally.
I really could have. I mean, according to what people told me I should have done and the ways I should have done it to like no longer be alive, like it was brutal. It was bad. If I would have listened to those types of things, I wouldn't be here today. But growing up in a faith-based family and having an underlying just solid foundation as a kid, and sometimes I go through things now and I'm like so amazed at little me because it's hard to have faith in situations. It's hard to keep staying strong, but I think that it's so true in the childlikeness when you're still so passionate about something and you have a dream placed in your heart and you know that that's what you are set to do. Yes, I was sad. Yes, I kind of did curl up in a corner and cry for a long period of time, but then after a weekend of doing that, like something just clicked inside of me and it was like, no, this is my story. I want to encourage others. I know how many people have walked through this. I was the little girl sitting in the lunch, like eating my lunch in the bathroom all alone. Like I saw other people go through that. How can I help those people feel like they can find the confidence that I'm about to find? So,
but you had that wisdom at 11?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I like really do believe that the Lord instilled that somehow, especially like I was homeschooled, so I watched my mom get on her knees in our like dining room. She used to have this little paper she'd set up because she would wake up. Obviously, we'd wake up around the same time, but you do not disturb her when she's talking to Jesus or when she's reading her Bible. And she had this like do not disturb, like date with Jesus sign on the table. So she would read her Bible in the kitchen and she'd put that up. And so I couldn't ask her, like, you can't ask questions. I want to cry. She's so cute. And then in like when she was done reading, she would go into the dining room and there were these really cute chairs that we used to have, and she'd pull them out and she'd get on her knees, and that was like her prayer time, and she'd play a little worship music.
She got on her knees and prayed every day?
Yeah, every day.
Wow.
And then I had my own space in my prayer closet because growing up homeschooled, we'd watch sermons together. We'd listen to like Nicole C. Mullins, C.C. Winans, like gospel, like music. I grew up singing in a gospel church. Like, so all of that was my growing up foundation.
Your prayer closet. I had never heard of this. Tell us what your prayer closet is.
Well, I have always had a prayer closet growing up. It was in my little pink bedroom at the time. I would go and tuck myself in the left corner. I spent a lot of time in there after the anthem. When my mom would pray in the dining room, because my dad was working on expanding her closet so she could have a bigger prayer closet. He's a senior construction manager, so he builds all the things. But yeah, so I've always had one, and then growing up when I moved to Nashville on my own, one closet that I had utilized didn't have many clothes in this one section, so I would plaster stuff all over the wall. I'd write in journals, I'd stick them on the wall. And now I've migrated from a closet to a bathtub.
A bathtub? How did you get a bathtub?
Well, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I have accumulated many clothes. And so both of the closets and the second bedroom, unfortunately, is closet space.
Oh, wait, 2-bedroom apartment with just you?
With just me.
Yes, girl. I love this.
But I created one as like a little wardrobe room. And so the closets are like a little bit smaller, but they're both being utilized. And in the second closet, I installed a desk where I was writing and praying and journaling, but I'm just surrounded by a lot of stuff. And me and my some of my closest girlfriends started a ministry called Await Ministries. It's a women's ministry.
Yes, I need details.
Yeah. And we went to the Upper Room Conference at the end of the year last year, and these are like my very first friends that I know. If you say like something's happening and they're like, I'm gonna pray for you, like they're 100% praying for you. They're not just saying it. And the girls that will most definitely be in my real wedding one day, which we can talk about later. But these are like fighting, like interceding on your behalf, like prayer warrior best friends. And so we went to this worship conference together, and I had been, reading in my closet, but just not feeling like it's the same space that I had growing up. And it didn't feel like, I had enough room to put things on the wall and, do what I had done previously and have a secluded space. There's a movie called The War Room that Priscilla Schreier is in, which talks about like a prayer war room, which I suggest to watch. It's really good. That's what also inspired my mom and I to have a prayer closet. But when we were praying, my friend Maddie was praying over me, and we were both like singing, crying, worshiping together. It was like beautiful. And our other two friends are like hugging each other and praying over one another. Like, it's just amazing. And during this like big worship event, Maddie's like, I just see you in your bathtub. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean I'm in my bath? She's like, there's just prayers everywhere. Like, you're praying in the bathtub. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like, I've never prayed in my bath. Like, I have, but in the setting, I was like, that's odd. I pray in my closet. And then a couple songs later, she kind of gets up and maneuvers around, and I'm like really praying, like, Lord, like, what is that? And then I kind of see this same vision of my bathtub being filled up with like blankets and pillows, and like all I could see was from the shower, top of the shower down on the walls were just like covered in prayers. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I have 2 bathrooms in my house. I get ready in one bathroom because it's got a little vanity, and that's the one like shower I never use. And so as soon as I got home from that retreat, I pulled all my blankets, all my things, and I have like a little lamp in there, and a bunch of like just books and stuff like all piled in there. And then it's, continuing up the wall currently with just prayers and things that I pray in specific, because I've got my best friends' names on the wall, and just people that I know that have asked for prayer, or just things that the Lord prompts on my heart. But I spend a lot of time in there. Sometimes I don't even know how long I'm in there, but I take my Bible in there. I read a lot. I sit in there. That's like my Sabbath, I think. When I'm not doing anything, I could spend hours and hours, but playing.
So when you go into your prayer bathroom, do you have like an agenda of what you're trying to do, or do you just go in there? How do you know what you need to pray for?
I just go in there and I just really talk to Jesus.
Like,
and
what's on your heart?
Yeah, we just have conversations. And then sometimes it does lead me into, certain things will be placed on my heart in those moments to pray for specifically. And I will. But normally I just go in there, and sometimes I just sit and wait for him to say something.
How does he speak to you?
He speaks to me in a lot of different ways. Sometimes through like his word and just scripture in general. But I've more so learned that, yes, the Bible is for me, but I am also reading the Bible to understand God more and to know the history of it all, and to have such a deeper like fear of the Lord. And that's something that I used to read the Bible like, okay, what can I like apply it? Which, yes, it is like a handbook, applying it to yourself, but to also be able to have an awe and wonder about who Christ is. So sometimes he does speak to me through the word. And other times, I mean, since I was a kid, I've seen a lot of like dreams and visions, and I've heard him verbally speak a couple times.
What were the verbal ones? I love this.
I'm glad you do. Some people,
I live for this stuff. Are you kidding me?
This is what I was excited about. I was like, oh, we prayed together on the first one. Maybe we'll talk about it.
I actually had a bunch of people talk to me about that first one.
Really?
It was like very impactful. Yes.
Praise the Lord.
Yes.
Yeah, the very first time I ever heard from the Lord was when I was 6, and I had asked my mom in the back of the car one day, because obviously I see her growing up like praying on her knees, like, and I'm like, Mom, like, how do you see Jesus? And she's like, well, you gotta ask, you gotta seek, you gotta like put all your trust in him, and just sit still, like be still and see if he comes and speaks. And my mom, to that at that point had never verbally heard from the Lord. And so she has now, which is cool, but I do believe God speaks to everybody in such different ways. One of my best friends, Mallory, not to be on a tangent, but she gets the Lord speaks to her in butterflies and different things like that. So it's always different for everyone. But at this age, I was sitting in my car seat. We just dropped off my brother at football practice, and I do remember sitting there looking out the window and really eagerly searching. And my mom had worship music playing, and she will tell the story that she looked at me in the back of the rear view mirror, and I began to kick my legs, laughing, crying, tears down my face. And my mom's like, what? And I said, he spoke to me, Mom, he spoke to me. And my mom's like, what? And so she begins to cry, and she pulls over, parks into a little parking lot. And she's like, what happened? And I was like, I saw Jesus riding on the clouds. I basically, as a 6-year-old, described Revelation of when he's coming down on the clouds, fire in his eyes, belt on. I said he had a karate belt on, but his sandals and what he looked like and the fire and just everything. And my mom's like, oh my gosh, this is literally she's describing Revelation right now. That is crazy. So she writes it out. I go home. She always made me draw things on a paper so that she could keep it and we could remember how many times the Lord had spoken and said something. And so that was the first time, and I was crying, laughing too, because not only did I see him, but he said to me, Harper, you are a good girl. And I remember he said I was a good girl. And so, but it was so loud. It I remember telling her it shook me, but it was so comforting and peaceful. All of it that I had said, my mom was like, yeah, that was the Lord, 100%. And so, I mean, from then on, I was just so eager to hear more. And that I spent a lot of time sitting and praying and talking to the Lord. And sometimes it wavers, especially growing up and moving to Nashville and, finding my own walk and my own journey and being able to have a testimony of just how graceful he is and how merciful he is. But yeah, that was the first time ever. And it happens in other ways, I think, too. I've been writing a lot of worship songs on my own, and that's also my way of just hearing from the Lord, of me being able to just praise him and thank him in so many circumstances and all things. So, yeah.
When did you feel that this awful traumatic experience when you're 11? When did you feel you knew it was going to be a testimony for yourself? You could feel that from the beginning, which is unbelievable. But obviously, your faith has started at such a young age. Mm-hmm. When did you see it turn? When did you see it be oh, this is a very important part of my story, and now I can be grateful that this happened because I'm going to use it to help others? That's a big moment.
I think that it came pretty quickly after. I said, I was very sad for a course of 48 to 72 hours. Still sad throughout, but we had accepted to go on a radio station about 4 days after the anthem, where it was the Gene and Julie show. And we were taking a lot of calls, talking to them consistently. And I was on their station for 2 to 3 days. And then I had presented them with a song that I wrote called I've Got a Dream. It was a cute little, basically said I forgave everyone who said mean things. And after a couple of days of taking calls and just talking about what had happened that day and putting myself kind of back in that mindset, of course it was very short after the situation had occurred, I left to go get a snack. I think we were actually at a McDonald's or Chick-fil-A and across from the station. And I was with my mom and dad, and I told them I started writing a song. And this song is still on YouTube. I was a very young girl. I had my piano teacher at the time named Ben was a wonderful jazz pianist, and he came in and played it for me while I sang it on air. And it was called I've Got a Dream, but the song basically said I forgive the people that said mean things. It also pointed in perspective of know him, feel him, referring to a relationship with Jesus. You can change into a beautiful thing. It was this the whole story was, I have a dream and I'm not going to back down from what I know is in my heart. I forgive everybody that said mean things, and I hope that you find a relationship with Jesus like I have.
Stop!
And it was
Harper?
A cute little 11-year-old song. Very philosophical as a child. I was like, wow. Like now when I look back, I'm like, that's so cute. And also just so powerful of my response time. But to answer your question of like, when did I see, this being turned into something beautiful or really noticing that this was what God had intended? They played that song on air for 3 days straight and had me come into the station every single day. And we finally started opening up like cold calls from people who had heard the song like immediately after on station. And there was a guy who my dad was helping me run my Facebook page at the time. And there was a guy that had been messaging me like with knowing my father was, responding. Like, how could you believe in a God who would let Harper go through this? Like, was full on atheist, like didn't trust or believe or like have any relationship with the Lord, had a lot of church hurt, but was like really messaging my dad a lot. And my dad was handling it pretty graciously of just like encouraging him, reminding him like what scripture says, what we know is true. And that same guy who had been messaging was one of the first people to call in to the station. And he had said he listened to the song and something in his heart, he then began to share that like he was bullied in middle school, he was bullied in high school, never had any friends, tried to commit suicide in so many different ways. He heard my song and something verbally said to him, you have purpose, while he was driving in the car. And he called and he's like, I know that was God's voice telling me I have purpose. And he was like, from here on out, like I believe and I know that like Jesus saves, and like this whole thing of how he doesn't feel like he needs to end his life anymore. He's like, he's going to turn from like just crazy. So after he began to be honest with where he was at, one after another, like wide variety of ages, that man, I think was in his 40s. We had some people in their 70s, they're, young and 20s, like kids calling on their behalf, like the moms calling on their behalf of their kids, like so many situations where it's like if Harper went through this worldwide bullying, like top story in Belgium, top story in China, newspapers with my face plastered as an 11-year-old with languages I couldn't even read, like all of these things that had happened, these people were calling like, and she still serves a God who allowed this to happen. But now they're like, I want to know how she can stay confident and be persistent in her faith and know who she believes in. And from there on out, like the amount of people that come to know Jesus from that was incredible. And I knew that it wasn't me and my story, but it was the strength in God that he created within me. That was really the one thing saving lives. And so I knew from then on that was what God had intended for that story to be meant to be used for, which is, it's been over a decade and it's still such a big piece of my life. And I go to schools and I talk about it and I, share the anti-bullying story and what had happened. I did that when I was a kid and had the opportunity to connect with a lot of kids that were being bullied and have an impact on their life. And now I have what we call a redemption tour where I go and I sing the anthem and face my biggest fears all over again and go and talk at schools, and going to New Jersey next week to do the same thing. And so it's still an ongoing thing that I'm very passionate about, that I feel like the Lord has opened the opportunity and created the story for me to be able to do that.
That is just so huge because like I get stuck in traumas. Like I have a problem where like I hear someone's trauma, especially like a young child, and like it like wrecks me and I like get stuck in it. It's like getting stuck in the movie in the middle before the ending and the redemption happens, So it's like I get stuck in the like this is terrible. Like I'm doing right now. I get stuck in like the 11-year-old self singing the song and like people being so mean. I'm like, how can that happen? It hurts me so badly. But you have been able to move past it and like find the bigger picture. Do you ever go back to the traumatic feeling? Or are you so far into the redemption that like you can just like say, yes, that was traumatic and that was so unbelievably painful, but like that's not what you live in anymore?
I mean, I definitely think sometimes things present itself to trigger that trauma and that pain and the hurt that I had felt. But there's a verse in, I believe it's in Philippians, where it talks about praising God always and in everything giving thanks. And then the peace that surpasses all understanding will comfort you all the days of your life. And it's like, that's not verbatim word for word of the actual scripture, but I try to repeat that to myself of like, in order to find peace, in order to find the comfort that the Lord does promise, I have to praise and give thanksgiving in all circumstances and everything. It's not just sometimes. It's not just because I have sat in situations where I haven't praised or gave thanks, and I feel a lot worse, and I do get stuck in the trauma, and I am in my mind, having the insecurities, having the doubt, having, all of the things that the enemy attempts to belittle and to stuff you down to make you feel like you can't get out of it. I've lived that, and I am, human, and that happens. But then I remember what the word says and what is true and how to find the peace and what the actual antidote and cure to that feeling is.
And does the peace come every time?
And the peace comes every time. Every time. And you have to, I also love the verse where it says, when I draw near to those who draw near to me. And it reminds me, I shared this story recently with some of my girlfriends I had a worship night the other night and got really emotional reading in the book of Mark. It's the story of the woman who goes and touches Jesus's garment to be cleansed of something she had struggled with for 12 years. And my favorite passage, it's found in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but Mark has the most details in it because it talks about how, I believe it's in chapter 5, how she had gone to physicians, spent money, did all this stuff to get healed, but then she heard about Jesus and she did anything she possibly could, pushed through the crowds, did what she could to reach him, to then brush the hem of his garment because she knew what she was told was true about him and had so much faith that even the simple yarn of his garment was going to heal. And in the midst of that, Jesus says, "Who touched me?" And his disciples are like, "What the heck? Do you see all these people? There's so many people around. What do you mean, who touched you?" And he's like, I know what happened, but someone touched me. And he sees her. She then comes to his feet and she's like, "I'm so sorry." She didn't apologize, actually. She admitted to what she did. She said, "I just knew if I touched your garment." And he looks at her and says, "Daughter, get up, you are healed." Because of your faith, because of what you are doing right now in this instant, you are healed. Now you can go. And I think that has been such an encouragement to me. I was telling the girls, he meets you where you are, but it is our duty to make the action to go to him, because he's always open arms for us at all times. But we have to go and meet him. He draws near to those who draw near to him. And that's why I'm reminded, of course I get the peace. Of course I can feel that when I am, it's like a muscle, your spiritual mind, your spiritual relationship with the Lord is an ongoing muscle you have to work. You can get caught up in so many things, but if you're not reading the word, using it as true armor of God, and pushing yourself to remember that he is the God of all promises. He will protect you. He will be by your side. That is what creates the faith and the confidence that you have to continue to press into.
I needed this today. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, Harper, you are such a good voice of God, because I'm in a little bit of a dark hole with the world right now. I'm a little freaked out. I'm a little scared. I just feel like the world's really evil. Yeah. And there's it's all coming to light. We have so much knowledge of so many terrible things that are happening. So many innocent, so much innocence is stolen. And I'm just I can't do it. This world is so heavy. It's so gross. It's so dark. And I can really fall down a sad spiral. Yeah. But it's hearing you say this, it's oh my gosh, you just have to armor up with God. You have to. Yeah. You really do. Well, how do you survive it?
It's talked about in the Bible. None of this is new, I know. What's so weird is none of this is new.
So sad.
Yeah. It happens even in biblical times. I'm going back. I would call my mom and I'm like, "Girl, Leviticus is crazy. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. I'm starting to read the Bible in a year. And I'm baffled at some of this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, before Jesus walked the earth, it'd be wilding out there.
Really?
Some wild.
What was happening?
Well, I mean,
give me a little story.
Without context, in the book of Genesis, obviously the flood comes because the Lord's I'm wiping out all of eternity. All you guys are being a little cray.
I'm wondering if he's going to do that again, because I'm are we too far?
Well, we have the promise of the Lord that's not happening, because as soon he did promise Noah with the rainbow that he was never going to flood the earth again. And wiping out eternity is That's not.
Okay.
But yeah, it's when you go back and you see just things that happen and the things that are promised in Revelation, like that is why, like you said, it is so important to know the God that you believe and trust in. And like, I'm reminded recently, yes, with everything that's going on, as well as our lifespan, we don't know if we're promised tomorrow. You know, you don't know if you're going to wake up with breath in the morning. Like, you really don't, because we're not promised that. And with that, I have shifted my way of living my life, because
How do you live now?
Now I live like there is no tomorrow, and I don't hesitate on sharing the good news with somebody, because it's so important where you do spend your eternity, because this life here on earth means absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. And if you are a Christian and you love the Lord and you believe in that, it's even more important to tell your neighbor about it. It's not, I mean, I used to pray like, oh Lord, like, I hope that somebody reaches that person that you know is struggling. But you may be the only person that person could ever encounter, or you may have to get the boldness to go and say something to that person. And me and my girlfriends, she wasn't super close to me, but this wonderful, joyous, amazing, not to like bring the mood down, but this is such an important story. Wonderful, wonderful girl who served in so many different areas in ministry, 22 years old, didn't wake up, just in her sleep, peacefully, is no longer with us over the last week. And
really?
Yeah. And the legacy as a 22-year-old, if anybody goes to talk about who she was, it's joyous, it's jumps around praising the Lord, it's consistently like taking care of a brother and sister in need, it's praying over one another. Like, I only spent a very minimal, maybe 2 times with her. She came to our first Await Ministry event. She was the one jumping and praising with her hands up in the middle of a room with 40 girls, very tight and secluded. She was also, we went to a little concert together, but she just like illuminated joy, and the impact that she's made on so many people is significant. And being 22, like, that's not a ton of years, but to have a legacy of being bold in your faith and telling people the good news is so important. And that's what I've just had on my heart recently, is like, my grandpa just passed away, and, you know, I am curious about how legacies are left behind. Like, what are we going to do on a day-to-day basis when we're not promised tomorrow to make sure that everyone gets to spend eternity with Jesus and not spending it elsewhere? Because it says, better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. And if I'm promised to have this amazing life with the comfort of a king, why would I want anything else, and why would anything on this earth matter? Doesn't mean it doesn't matter. You still work, you know, all the things. But
we're here, so it matters.
Right.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Man, so just keeping that perspective at all times, that's incredible, Harper.
Thanks.
Okay.
It took a while, though, you know.
To kind of go back to current day living in the flesh and blood in this fallen world. But so here we are. You are in the music industry, which is peppered with so many wonderful detours from God it could be, but also lots of opportunities to share with your platform. I mean, I'm sure that has been a journey. You're single out. If Daddy says no, that was this kind of, you kind of were going against. Were you kind of going against your faith in this song? Because, like, didn't your dad not want you to be with this guy? So this is kind of like, you kind of had a moment.
Some adolescence. Exactly.
When were you dating someone that, like, this is a very personal story. Like,
very,
was not
very
aligning
personal
with your actual values. But as those romances do, they
blur the lines.
They blur the line. They can suck you right on in.
Exactly. It's terrifying.
So tell me about this story, because this is a real story. And I love the whole situation with Instagram, because I actually thought you were engaged.
I know.
And are you in love, though?
I'm not in love.
Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
I thought you... Did you?
No.
We were talking at the DMV, and I thought you were...
Was I dating somebody?
Dating someone very... Okay, I don't know.
Maybe not. When was that? Maybe I had a date or something.
No,
but
he was like a military dude.
That's who this song's about.
You loved him then.
I thought I did.
Oh my God.
I know.
He was OMG.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's right. You met me.
We had a date at the DMV
We did have a date at the
on
DMV.
accident.
Oh, Lord.
We actually planned to have a date for a long time. Never really worked out.
And then we saw each other at the DMV.
And the DMV is going to get you for a couple hours. So we got to catch right on up.
We did.
Wait for our driver's license.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the tea.
Like, I love this dude.
Yeah. And
I
to
was
be
like,
crazy.
Okay. I thought you were going to get married.
Yeah, I did too.
So if
Here
Daddy
it comes
says
together.
no, Daddy says no, and Harper says yes. So Daddy was saying no the whole time you were dating him?
Well,
Harper!
I will say the reason there's so many bits and pieces that intertwine with this story in particular. Not one of the big things that I hope is a takeaway is which we've talked about, I think, in general on our day-to-day is Instagram is never reality.
No.
Never. And we share highlights and we talk about highlights and we, make everything seem like it's wonderful because we don't want to. And I will say it is important who you can trust to share internal things that you're going through, but there is authenticity on socials, but the lesson that I am hoping that I can also continue to pour into people with this story of if Daddy says no is that it is important to be vulnerable and real, and you don't have to make everything seem so bright and shiny all the time. With this relationship though, this is the same person I wrote Under My Skin about, and it was a very manipulative relationship where I'm always going to believe the best in people. I give and give and give and give until I can't give anymore. And I have these little glimmers of hope and I hold on to them. And I am a hopeless romantic and I love and all of the things. So, but on the other side of it, I wasn't telling people that I was getting cussed out at. I wasn't telling people that I'd cry and have panic attacks due to being forced into changing a tire or, figuring out a situation on my own after I was just told that person was going to help me and then gets mad at no reason and then abandons me and then cusses at me as I'm crying. So all of these pieces, as well as texting my dad, that he wants to marry me without really establishing any sort of relationship with him, and just goes out of disrespect in so many different cases that I was kind of aware of and also not at the same time.
Were you were you in love? Were you not in love, but were you blinded by your love?
Oh, I was blinded by the love for sure because
the true Harper, who is this little 11-year-old who had her prayer closet, who knew what she's worth.
Yeah.
Knew that this wasn't what you're worth, but was it just such a love bomb?
I will say from the point that you and I first talked into where I was at in that relationship, so many things happened, and this is why I'm much more on guard now in the season of life, and I'm so grateful for the girlfriends that I have and the prayer warriors that they are, and also the prayer warrior mama that I have, because I know she's been fighting battles on my behalf for so long. But I lived with the wrong people. Not great to live in the same household of people that don't have the same morals as you. You kind of get looped up. It's just the same thing as the bad apple analogy, where
all
they've
these
actually
analogies are there for a reason.
Yeah, they are. If you put one good apple and sort of bad apples, they're shortly the good apple is no longer good anymore.
I actually have that happen all the time with my apple bowl.
Yes,
one will be bruised, and then the three around it get a bruise. I'm
true.
Dang it, gotta throw them all away.
It's so true. And they've done little videos of time lapses of that also happening with fruit, and it is so real, and the enemy knows how to deter you, as well as that same perspective of it is a muscle you have to work, you have to be on guard, you have to have the armor, you have to put on. That is why it's a daily surrender, daily dying to yourself, daily, literally just a daily thing.
It's also hard though when you're young and you want to be in love.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And so then you meet someone who seems to be sweeping you off your feet, and you're I want this to be real.
Oh, 100%. And that's how it was in the beginning. I was very much taken back by, the kindness and the sweet. And, to be honest, it was kind of bare minimum, but I was already out of a bad relationship before that too, that I just, kind of was like, oh, well, you opened my door. Ladies, that is bare minimum. It's not enough. It's not enough. But yeah, I was very much blindsided by all of it, but he was good. He knew what he was doing.
How long did it stay good before like the claws came out?
What's sad is that it wasn't that long. Oh. We had our first, I slept in a closet. This is crazy, Caroline. I'll tell you legit. That's okay, nobody knows. Are you
going to have vulnerability hangover?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to call me and be like, I need to cut this out?
No.
Okay, great. Then let's share it.
My gosh.
Love this stuff.
No, because this is true. I think it's hard to see it when you're in it and when you want to believe in something. And it doesn't say, I think some women are scared to talk about it because I think it's talks about their character, but it's like, you get caught up in something.
Everyone does.
Yeah, and it's hard.
To go back to when you're young, and especially when you have nothing really to base it on, obviously you have your parents and like yourself, but it's like when you're looking for love, you're like,
I didn't know what to, like you said, had my parents.
Yeah.
But as soon as I moved to Nashville, I started going on dates and wanting to be in a relationship. And
I used to just daydream about being in love. Like it was like all I ever
have a Pinterest board of a wedding. Like I have since I was 14.
Yes, it's a very normal desire.
It is. Well, yeah, this relationship went south very quickly, and I stuck around when I really, really shouldn't have. I have a song actually that I wrote as well that's not out yet called Pink, because it talks about painting all the red flags pink and just pretending like they're pretty. And
so what is that, just for young girls listening to, or anyone listening, because it's kind of at any age, what is that though? When did you know you're ignoring your truth, your intuition? Like, could you feel it? Like, how did you bypass your truth?
I could feel it. So first, I almost left. 4 months in our relationship, we got into a weird argument about music videos, actually, and like portraying, a character in a story, and he didn't like it to have like somebody else in the video. Like I was planning on acting in all of my videos, and for some reason he wasn't okay with that, and which is strange in itself. But then I had sat on the floor with my dog, whom I am obsessed with.
You take everywhere. I love that
yes,
you said this is that you're saying
him.
Yes to your dog.
Yes.
One thing was him coming everywhere with you. Your dog has the cutest face.
Thanks. He's so handsome.
He is. I wanted to like kiss him.
His ears and his nose, everything. I just squeeze his head all the time. But yeah, I was like, I kind of got a little bit frustrated with the way he was speaking to me, and I had asked him to like maybe okay, great. The way he was speaking to me. And had kind of just gotten a bit like taken back by it.
It caught you off guard because you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I was like, this is really out of the blue too. Like the conversation sparked out of nothing, and he also addressed like people that were following me that were my songwriter friends, like just had a lot of control,
jealousy, right away.
And that was starting to kind of simmer to the pot. And I was like, okay, I don't appreciate the way that you're talking to me. Like maybe you can pause and we can reconvene and have another conversation about it. But this is like super out of the blue, so I'm like really confused. Well, then he begins to like get a little bit louder, and I was like, just kind of went down on the ground and like hugged and pet my dog. And he was living in upstate New York at the time, and so he was hanging out and staying for the weekend. And I had made a comment. I was like, or no, I got cuddled down on the ground, and he made a comment about if I was, so close with my dog, I'll sleep with my dog. And I was like, okay, I will, because you being crazy, like you yelling a lot. So I ended up like sleeping with my dog, but then he proceeded to tell me that I needed to sleep in the closet. It was this whole thing. It was a whole thing.
Okay.
Horrible. But then the next morning,
no.
Next morning, I tell him he needs to go, like pack his stuff and leave. And he came back a couple hours later and apologized.
There it is. They always come back. It's the love bomb, then
yes.
the barrage of hatefulness, and then the deep apology.
Exactly. And this was the first time that it
had happened. There's some clinical word for this. Like there's some sort of personality thing.
Yeah, something like BPD or something.
Yeah.
Bipolar.
Yeah, something.
borderline personality disorder. I don't know. Or just a little bit manipulative. But yeah, I went to Bible study. I had some of my girlfriends, like I had different friends at the time, just pray over the situation. And I was like, I think I need to not be with this guy. And they're like, yeah, I agree. Well, then I go back home, which then I'm presented with flowers and letters and, deep, deep, deep apology.
And the romance of getting you back is probably like lovely. Because you're like, oh, this is sweet. I was like, and
okay.
romantic.
And it was the first time that it had happened.
Yeah.
Which it raised a flag of like, that was a little bit of on the anger side that should not have come out. But then I'm like, okay, I'm going to be on guard. I should have just called it to begin with.
And let's make that point right here. And this is a good thing. We can definitely add this to the clip. When you get a red flag, it's a red flag.
Just leave.
The red flags don't turn pink.
They don't.
They really don't. And especially with anger issues. I tell this to my daughter all the time. She's 6, but I'm like, if someone presents you with an anger problem, that is not who you want to spend time with. If they can't control their anger, you don't want to be with someone who's got an anger problem. I pray that they get the help they need, but that is not the problem that you want to take for yourself.
And it's important if somebody shows you their true character.
Believe them.
Believe them.
Believe them.
Instead of trying to paint and think that there's deeper. There's probably a good person in there for sure, but it's not up to you.
And something probably happened to them that was really sad and traumatic, and I really pray for them and want them to get the help they need. But like, you can't sacrifice yourself for it.
And that is something that I have had to learn, unfortunately, the hard way, and in a way that I won't say I wish I didn't, because I think that it's also given me a voice to advocate for the women who don't have enough confidence to leave, who are stuck in a situation that they feel as though they can't get out of. Because it's blinding, it's hard, especially if you love and you want to believe the best in people and you just hold on to the good parts. It's a really hard place to be in. And so, yeah, I accepted his apology, was still at arm's length. But then it continued like a couple months later, and everything would mostly end up being switched on to me and my fault and how I had done something to make him insecure or ruined his trust, and then I'd end up believing that I was in the wrong, which then
you're still on eggshells, and then you don't have to be yourself anymore.
100%. So I stopped dressing the same. I kind of started, neutralizing my outfits, neutralizing my personality, trying my best to hold my tongue in situations, and walked around kind of as an internal robot. I would go to my parents' house. I wouldn't really talk much.
They noticed.
And my dad noticed those things much earlier. I had a birthday roll around, and I spent time with my mom and dad at a little beach house that they had rented, and it was really hard because they saw
you had been dimmed. Your light was dim.
Yeah, and I even finally came out with some of it. But then I'd be like, well, I just think I need to, see it through, and maybe love that sticks around and is patient and fights for one another. But I'm like,
and was your dad, is that when he was like, no?
Well, my dad said no, I think about a year into the relationship. I dated him for a year and a half. We broke up twice. Mm-hmm. So dumb. So silly. Girl, you should have left.
You know what though? You're not alone in this. This is a very easy trap to fall into.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get into this situation. So I'm glad you're sharing about it and writing the song about it. But and then it's you don't want to listen to your dad because you want to be with this guy and you want it to be what you want it to be in your head, but it's not, and you know your dad's right.
Yeah.
So how great that you're a songwriter and you could put that into a song.
And at the time, this song was written while I was still in a relationship with him, which is why, there's no resolution in the lyrics, because I loved my parents. I loved my dad so much. I still love my dad so much. He
only wants the best
always
for you.
Been, yes. And as tough and hard as it seems, unfortunately, parents just know. They have that intuition.
They just want their kids to be happy and well.
Yeah.
And
I know that's not the story for everybody.
Right.
I know people have different relationships with their parents, but at the scheme and the root of it all, the majority, they just want the best for their kids. And sometimes it might be approached a different way that might be a little bit offending, like to a kid or whatever. And I think that that's kind of where my adolescence kind of butt in, because I was like, surely I'm on my own. I'm in my 20s. I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm writing songs. I'm in a relationship and I could get married. And like, just, you also see though nowadays with social media, like it's like this like pressure to kind of have to do the steps of, you know, move out, find a job, find a husband. There's a timeline.
No, the timeline's always been there.
Yes.
Me, I was pre-social media and I felt the timeline.
The timeline is crazy.
Well, it's because the maternal clock too. Because it's like if you don't have a baby by the time you're 35, then you might not be able to have a baby. And so then I think that's kind of like the time, because like women have that. We have that number, you know, it's like, shoot, I got to have a baby before I'm 40, or else what if I can't have a kid?
Same.
If you want to have a kid, you know?
Wild. So
there's all this pressure, and then you kind of like rush, and you might like overlook some things because you're trying to stick to the timeline and get your dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely associated into probably where I was at the time, thinking that I needed to do that. But that also stemmed from just a lot of personal insecurities that even happened as a young girl with relationships and situations girls should not ever go through, like as a 14-year-old, which is why, like, so I've taken a lot of time to actually go in and heal the root of the problem, because prior to that Army guy relationship, I was in another really bad relationship that caused me to have friction with my parents that was very manipulative, that was physically abusive and emotionally abusive. The one with the Army guy was emotionally and verbally abusive. So I've stemmed, but it stemmed from a situation that happened when I was 14, which is really heavy, and I don't know if you even want to go there. But
I mean, I will if you do. Do you want to? Is it too hard?
No, I'll go there.
Okay, what happened?
Can I go there? This is crazy. I've actually always been waiting for the right moment to talk about this, and I would love to do it with you.
Okay, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Wonderful.
Do you want to share this?
Yeah, I think it's important.
Okay.
I think it's important to do the healing work inside and realize why some things happen the way they happen. And I am all here for counseling and therapy. And, you know, I really am. And I have learned recently where everything kind of stemmed from me, and where the insecurity initially happened, and where a lot of my struggles with relationships and actually getting a good perspective of what that really is came from. And as a 14-year-old, I made my first trips to Nashville, and I was adamant on doing music. That's kind of where my first work trips began. And we had a family friend who's very well off in the industry still today, who is 7 years older than me. And as a 14-year-old, we our moms were friends, and we he had a lot of really good contacts and had offered to help me and my family. And so...
Was he living with his family or living on his own?
He was living with his mom. His mom and dad were still together. The dad was living in the hometown. So they had like a little apartment, a townhome in Brentwood.
So he was also pursuing dreams?
Yes.
Okay.
Signed songwriter.
Okay.
And yeah, wow, I'm actually, this is nervous to talk about, but also I've been praying for the right time to do so, because I wrote a song called Behind Bars about it, which I've always wanted the right time to share it. So, I really looked up to this guy. He was like a big brother to me. And he began to get a little strange with our relationship. And I remember when I started presenting ideas to him, because I cared about his opinion of songs, he started to get upset about the ideas and tell me how horrible they were, which then ended up he would come into writing sessions with me, and I would want to say the idea that I had, and he was like, if you do that, it's the worst thing ever. Like, so some of the verbal abuse had kind of started in that case, and me starting to get insecure about my own intuition and my own thoughts and my own passions and what I thought would be the right thing. So that started off at a young age at 14 until I finally, started sticking up and saying the ideas that I wanted, which then led into car rides back to the house of, how wrong I was for doing that. And I won't get into all of the crazy, crazy details, but this songwriter who was 7 years older than me started to take over my childhood, in a sense, in a sexual form, as well as just so many other ways.
How do they get, like, how does it go? How do they violate that trust though? Like, is it just a complete violation, or does it happen so slowly you don't really know?
I mean, I was a child. I was 14. Yeah. So having someone that you look up to, like a brother, tell you things that you're doing wrong, but then also kind of like groom you in a way of that he protects you, and he is in charge, and he knows how good of a songwriter you are. Like, it was like this weird, just back and forth manipulation. And I was so scared to tell anyone at the time because I had no idea what was going on. But I had my own bedroom, and he had his own bedroom. He would come in the middle of the night, and I would wake up crying, and he'd, proceed to tell me not to tell anybody, and that he was going to ruin my career, and that...
Harper, your innocence, like, you've had so much to go through as a child. Like, God put you in some really big spots. And I'm not saying God put you in it, but, like, you have, like, such a heavy load as a child to bear.
Yeah, it's been wild. That's why I'm like, it's so important now to have the confidence and to trust and know that the Lord is so merciful, and he's so kind, and he cares about you. Because, I did walk through some pretty messed up stuff.
Really unfair.
Very unfair.
Really unfair.
And so 14-year-old, 11-year-old me suffered bullying from the worldwide. 14-year-old me was thrown into this manipulative, crazy, confusing relationship with someone that I thought was going to help open up doors, and then put this extreme fear of, if I do tell anybody, that my name in town was going to be burned, and I was never going to be able to sing or ever do what I dreamt of doing so bad. So I didn't even tell anybody about it until maybe 3 years ago. So I've held on.
You carried this with you?
Yeah. So I know that some of those, like, relationships that I had gone through mimicked that same kind of back and forth of, like, the control aspect, because I was used to that, because I was told by someone who cared and loved me and I was supposed to trust that was kind of normal. So I didn't see anything wrong with it in the relationships that followed, which now I'm so grateful that I know that is not okay. No one should be treated like that, and no one should be caught up in something like that. And so, unfortunately, that person that is associated with that story is still writing songs, still has songs on charts, still has songs with big artists.
Do you see this person ever?
Yeah, I have encountered him multiple times, and it's been interesting. He's married now, and I wrote that song I sang called Behind Bars because I saw his truck on Music Row one day, and my heart just, like, sank. It was one of the first times I had, like, saw him since not speaking to him whatsoever, because our family stopped being friends, and that was a whole thing. But yeah, I wrote this song and I showed it to my A&R and my publisher, and they cried about it. But I'm like, then I've heard other stories after sharing this of like, it's happened in the industry. Like,
well, and there's so much fear to stay silent because there's so much fear around someone, like you said, like even him threatening you. And then it's just when the person who has it happen to him, there's always so much fear that it's like your problem, your fault. You have to carry this because of all the repercussions that you have nothing to do with. And that's such a heavy load to bear. It's so unfair.
Yeah, which is why I'm actually really glad that I'm talking about it with you and actually speaking about something like that, because
it's not your fault.
It's one, it's not my fault. I've learned that. Two, we have the opportunity to say something. And after hearing so many other stories of like people that are still in the industry who are getting championed and working their way up the charts, whether it's songwriters, publishers, internal businessmen, whatever it is, like this situation has happened a handful of times to so many different people and no one says anything.
All the time.
It's crazy. And there needs to be a voice of coming out with what happened and to be strong and to know that you can't just get away with that type of stuff. And also, thank God I am learning now what it takes to find the resilience and to understand and know that it wasn't me. I was dealing with someone that internally had some weird fetishes and weird in general. And I hope that he finds some sort of
healing.
And I hope to God if he ever has a daughter, he doesn't do that. Or if he's done it to other people before, I have no idea. But I just know that I'm not afraid of not making it due to sharing the truth. Everyone, the scripture of the truth, like the truth will set you free. It's so true. Like,
and that's a big burden to carry inside of you, locked up, even though like you have your parents know and you're able to share it with like, I'm sure a few people, like to have that locked inside of you, I feel it's like harboring, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel that way?
It did for a long time. I went through the on-site program, which is incredible and amazing, and would definitely reference anybody to go, because I found a lot of healing in that process of like, I harbored up so much that I didn't even know was still in there from a kid. And that was my end of December, was like, I went to Costa Rica on I
saw you jumping off cliffs.
I went on a cliff jumping excursion.
For you. Just freeing yourself.
Yeah, it was wild. I think the Lord knew I needed that in order to step into where I'm at today and what's about to happen in career path, because I probably could have still kind of been lost, but thinking that I'm like A-okay. And a lot of us walk like that, thinking that everything's good. But it's so important to get to the root of the problem and to talk about it and release those things and to give them up and surrender them. And so like Costa Rica was really healing for me to realize how big God is, how small I was. I went to on-site right after that, and that was like opening up this internal struggle that I've had since I was 14, when I was told not to say anything and kept silent, which is why every relationship followed. I didn't say anything. I didn't talk about it. I thought I could do it on my own. I was supposed to do it on my own. I was trained to not say anything because I'm going to, have repercussions, because I will be in the wrong and people will think I'm, messed up. And so I dealt with that in the 3-year relationship with a guy from my hometown and the 1.5-year relationship with the Army guy. Like, I just kept my mouth shut because I knew that's all I knew how to do. And even though I had this confident young self to know that the Lord was in control, but I need to speak about it. I need to be confident. I need to be bold. I need to, write a song like I've Got a Dream, where I can, open up my heart and actually say what's going on. which is like crazy to me to look at a bird's eye view of like 11 to 14 was this confident journey for me. I still have walked in confidence, came to Nashville, made it a determination to make it in the industry, to make connections, be friends, write songs, do what I'm passionate about. But in the scheme of all of that, the heart of Harper was like battling all of these pieces. And now here I am today with a song called If Daddy Says No, that when I first wrote it, I kind of hid the personal side of it. I would set it up by being like, this is my song and I am afraid of things. 1, sneezing while driving. 2, peeing on the airplane. And 3, falling in love and dad saying no. But like I would just brush off the heaviness of the actual story of it because I didn't want to talk about it. And I thought I needed to keep it to myself. Everything's great. I'm good to go. Like I was open and honest with people in my writing sessions, but I kept so much inside until I reached this last December of healing the heart and the wounds of what I experienced as a child, healing my perspective of who am I, what is my purpose, what is my calling, who does Christ say that I am. We did this exercise where they like did these little hula hoops. We like step in and, you know, you hear what you feel like. You put who you want in the hula hoops. Like, this is wonderful therapy.
I love therapy.
But you put who you want. It could be your mom. It could be, you know, your friend or whoever you want to like talk to you in that moment. And I told myself going into that I just wanted to really grow my walk with the Lord. And so I would always use my higher power conversations to be with Jesus and with the Lord. And it's so interesting because when I would put myself in that and say something to my younger self, it was really just stemming from the word. Like, what does God say about me? What does God say my purpose is? Who does he say that I am? He says I'm chosen. He says I'm loved. He says he knew me before he formed me in my mother's womb. He says that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. He says that I can take delight in the way that he made me. Like, so I was able to fight this internal battle with reminding myself who God says that I am, and then go through this whole healing process of walking out of there, going to the upper room conference with my girlfriends, having this wonderful group of friends that cherish and adore and support and pray and love me, and then head into top of this year with this song and remembering that playing this song live, the only reason why I felt like I had confidence to actually walk in was hearing other people be vulnerable with me of their story of how If Daddy Says No's resonated with them. They either have a dad who did say no or have a dad who said no and they come around later on, or some people don't have a dad at all, or a good relationship, or the son didn't ask the dad, or the son did. Like, so the honest conversations that I've had with so many people in regards to this song, with the on top of how my December looked as this like rejuvenating renewal transformation for me, stepping into 2026 is like, oh my gosh, I'm tired of having everything else navigate and dull who I am and dull my voice back, because that's what the enemy wants you to do. He wants to steal, kill, and destroy. He's going to shut the opportunity for you to open your mouth to speak of truth. He's going to make you think that you're insecure and you're dull and you're all of these things. He wants to do that. He wants to keep you behind closed doors and never allow you to do what you are fully set to do and be placed on this earth to do, which is to go out and make disciples, to instill confidence in being a child of God. So it's like, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord, for 14 to 24 of this decade of walking through trials. I didn't see it yet, but now the redemption that has come from being able to heal from those wounds, face the Lord and say, I'm sorry for not taking them to you the way that I should have. Now, as a 24-year-old, I have this song. I'm able to be vulnerable. I'm able to talk about the situation that I walked through in relationships. Now I'm even able to talk about where it stemmed from. Why did I even go through those kinds of relationships? Oh, well, probably because when I was 14, I experienced a really crazy situation. And now, on the result of playing out this song and going to radio with it and having this as this moment of, here's my heart. Let me rip out a bloody page for you and hand it to you on a silver platter. And if you can relate with it, there you go. I was almost engaged once, and that's how I portrayed this song. So I don't know. I always love putting all the pieces together. And I think this year at the beginning, I've just been in awe and amazed at how the Lord has been in all of it with me. And I just had to meet him where he was and actually be with God rather than thinking I'm doing things for him, but to like walk alongside with the Lord and accept his guidance and his friendship, which is at access for everybody. And that's where the peace has come from top of this year. And it hasn't been that many months, January, February. It's not long, but
so proud of you, Harper.
Love you. Thank you.
You are a walking testimony. Like, God has literally, the life that you have lived through, the trials that you have gone through, like, and your faith and your resilience and your determination to keep meeting God and to keep finding the truth and to keep finding your true voice through all this. I am so inspired by you. The world is inspired by you. I mean, I'm heartbroken that you went through this. Like, that kills me. Like, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. That was so unfair.
I love you.
It was so unfair.
I will say, you have such a sweet, like, servant's heart. And not a lot of people are empathetic like that, to be able to carry somebody's, like, burdens and weights. And so you, as a sister in Christ, like, that is so encouraging and so real, to bear somebody's emotions, because that just reminds me of, like, Christ's love for us is, like, he literally bore all of that on the cross and took it so that we didn't have to. But you, as a sister, like, it's so sweet when people tell you something, because like you said, you're like, I sit in the trauma with it, as like hearing your 14-year-old self, like, that's actually a wonderful trait, like, because you are feeling the empathy for that person, but you're able to like pour that into like being able to even like go and pray about it, like I feel like sometimes when my friends tell me something, like I sit in that sadness with them and I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord, like let's pray about it, because that is just wild. So that's a really, really amazing trait. I thank you for like being able to hold this space with me and even let me share conversations like this with you and to sit here and experience it with me, because it's wonderful. I look up to you a lot, and
I look up to you because now I want to stay here in the sadness and like literally never leave, because I'm so brokenhearted. But I'm looking up to you because I'm like, okay, what do we do next? We go to faith. We go to God. We have to do something with this. And you are just the shining star of how to literally be the hands and feet of God in these situations that are just devastating, like literally, like can like devastate, like devastating, beyond devastating. And you're like, no, I am not going to stay here. I'm going to turn to God. And so like, I'm looking up to you in that way, because you are such an example of using your life to be a testimony for something bigger. And that is so brave, and that is so powerful, and that is so hard to do. And I'm just so inspired by you, Harper, like so inspired by you and like what you've walked through. Everyone walks through things, but like these two in particular situations are so unbelievably hard to navigate and unfair and impossible, especially when you're a kid. And seeing you right now, looking at you with this like bright light in your heart and your eyes, I'm just like, gosh, you are amazing.
Thanks. It's really Jesus, really. He the real strength for sure.
Oh, God, it makes it like, what is it? What is all this about? Like, why? Like, why? To have the testimony, I guess. This life is just, this world is a fallen place.
Fallen place. If anything, to be an encouragement to people, the thing that has saved my like, I guess what you could say anxiety or like the trauma of it all is really just the word of the Lord, like reading my Bible and spending quality time with Jesus and making it like a set plan to do so and working out the muscle. Like that is where I find hope and where I find peace. And so if anyone's struggling to find that, message me. I'll buy you a Bible. I really will. I'll hand them out. But yeah, that's my encouragement, I guess.
Harper Grace, I freaking love you. So tell me now in 2026, with all of this that you've gone through, this renewed sense of faith that you just experienced in December, starting 2026 off like clear and fresh, and like your root, the root, and like you've opened it up to the light and you've healed it and you've addressed it, and now like you are truly like fully transparent with yourself, with the world. You're not hiding. You're not living in chains and shame that isn't yours in the first place.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to now? Like what are you excited about in this new season of your like renewed sense of self and God?
I pray for a word of the Lord every year. Last year was sanctification and purification, and that was...
You got it.
I got that. I got that. And this year's word is remain. And I think that this year, I think that's an excitement for me to remain in the close proximity with the Lord, but also just to remain in moments with people, with the fans, with the song, with, being present in every moment, being like intentional in every moment. And yeah, my hope for this year is that I can grow just even closer with the listener and having that authenticity. I want to hear more stories of how people relate to things and maybe areas of their lives that they're struggling in. Like I also say when I perform by myself, like for people to come up to the merch table, I'm like, if you need prayer, like, come on. I obviously don't go off into like some sort of sermon, but I'm like, I share bits and pieces of my story while performing. And I'm excited to continue to rip out pages of my heart and present them to people so that they feel like they're not alone. Because I have realized that the songs that I write are never for me, and that they're just as much mine as they are the listeners. And I hope that people who have a hard time being vulnerable and being open about what they're really walking through, and maybe portraying something so different on social media than what they're really going through, that they can hear these songs and feel like they wrote them, and that's exactly what they're experiencing and going through, and that's some sort of like healing journey for them as well. So I guess that's my hope and excitement for the year is remain.
You're incredible. Where can everyone stay in touch with you? If Daddy Says No, is that out?
It will be out on Friday.
Okay, so when this comes out, it'll be out.
Yeah.
Okay, so exciting.
Yeah.
And are you still writing more songs? This is an album? Is this just the beginning?
This is just the beginning. We have an album in the works. I'm about to go back in the studio and record some more because I realized that there's pieces of the story that I think need to be in there before I found my vulnerability page. I was always writing pretty vulnerably, but I realized this album needs a lot more of authenticity than I thought I was giving. So,
but you know what? It's hard to just like give all that. It's hard to just share all this and then put it in a song and just like give it to the world, because it's like the depths of depths of you.
Yeah, you hope that it resonates because it does put a lot of effort. But yeah, if Daddy Says No, we have an acoustic version coming out after this version as well. If anybody wants to listen to that too. And then Dear Heart is the title track of the album, which seemed fitting due to all of the pages that are being ripped right out of that little thing in my chest. So, yeah, very, very exciting, and think that for such a time as this, I am prepping and ready and armored up.
I'm so inspired by you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so lucky to know you. I'm so like just who you are and the walk that you walk. It's not just me who is blessed to get to learn from you and be in your presence. And thank you so much for feeling safe enough to share here and for sharing your heart.
Thank you.
And for just being this light to this very dark world.
Yeah.
And with people like you shining their lights, you give me hope that maybe this world can become light, because sometimes I get so overwhelmed with the darkness and I'm like, what is the point of anything? It's so dark anyway. And then I hear you and I'm like, no, We have
keep
to shine.
on going.
We
have to. Yeah.
And just, I'm so inspired in all of you, Harper.
Thank you.
You're
well,
amazing.
If you're free March 8th, we have an Await Ministry girls group.
Okay, so yeah, tell us what that is, and then we'll wrap up.
Yay. Okay. It's a women's ministry group, just community building. I lead the worship, and I run it with my 3 best friends, Hallie, Mallory, and Maddie. And the word await means to just eagerly expect the Lord's coming. And that was placed on my heart when we were praying for what we wanted the ministry to be called. And so, we went with that, and we'll be having based here in Nashville, we are going to have a handful of worship events. My friend Maddie has Moses and Mocktails is her company. She makes mocktail drinks inspired by Bible verses in scripture. And so every event we usually have one of her mocktails incorporated and then worship incorporated. We'll be having some co-ed events as well this year. One that we're hoping to have is on Flag Day, so everyone can bring their national flag that they're going to be praying over. And so there's a lot of really exciting things, and I am very grateful to be a part of it. My family's always been in ministry, and it's always been a piece of my heart. And so to have something alongside of being able to proclaim how good he is, that's been great. So yeah, you're invited. March 8th.
I love this.
RSVP.
Okay, I love this so much. Okay, I always wrap up with Leave Your Light. And it's just super open-ended, inspirational. What do you want people to know?
I want people to know that God is good all the time, even if it feels like he's not moving. He is. And I love you, and Jesus loves you, and Caroline loves you. So there's that.
Harper Grace, you are amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sharing.
I love you.
I love you so much.
This is always so amazing.
It's always so it gets me to my core every time. It's the second interview, and I'm like, dang it, Harper, you really get all the way into the depths of the soul.
Praise the Lord.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.